Can Ishaq support Taliban after their recent airport bombing in Afghanistan? After a war that lasted about 20 years following the recent events of the 9/11 attack by the Taliban on American, we saw the eventual decline of U.S. occupation of Afghanistan and the eventual takeover of the government by the Islamic fundamentalists. The new Islamic government has since been met with both support and criticism for the international community, of which Nigerians have been a part. A prominent individual who gave open support to the Taliban is Professor Ishaq Akintola, director of the Muslim rights concern MURIC. In a statement released shortly after the takeover of Afghanistan by the Taliban, Ishaq Akintola said that they should be given a chance to govern. He said that the previous administration has been choked with corruption and that the Taliban are no longer prone to acts of terrorism. He went further to lambast the United States of America for deceiving Afghans, for starting a war for selfish reasons and abandoning the people without establishing a stable government. Professor Akintola based on his support for the Taliban on the belief and condition that they would not revert their religious extremists or terrorism. For instance, he claimed that the strong stance against female education will be softened as women and girls will now be allowed to attend school and get jobs, unlike before. But even if this is correct, can it really be said that the Taliban are no longer extremists? Recent events in short term of their pre-establishment seem to prove otherwise. For instance, there was the news only the other day that some youths were publicly flogged by Taliban soldiers for wearing jeans, which are seen as vestige of Western civilization and contrary to the tenets of Islam. There was also the report of the extrajudicial execution of a police chief who was opposed to their ideology during their fight to get back into power. And if these instances are too far back to recall, there is also the report of bombing outside an airport in Kabul to think about, believed to be a combination of suicide bombing and shooting by gunmen loyal to the Taliban government. About 80 innocent Afghans attempting to flee the country via U.S. airlift, including American soldiers, are said to have been killed. Do these events not already void Ishaq Akintola's reason for giving support to the new Taliban government? Are these not examples of religious extremists and terrorism reminiscent of the former reign of the Taliban? If the answer to the above question is yes, then it is safe to say that Ishaq Akintola was wrong in his support of the Taliban government, as they have clearly not departed from the practice of instilling fear in people with acts of terror. Perhaps now he will withdraw his support for the Taliban considering these latest developments. Wow, is this really for real? Do you really think that the Taliban are still not terrorists? These people are indeed a big terrorist and a great terror to the nation. How could they deprive people of their fundamental human rights and you still refer to them as humans? These Talibans are not humans. They are barbaric and satanic. That is how they are. Question people's way of living. As in what way? What era do they think we are living in that they feel that they can do whatever they feel like? And I'm surprised that a whole professor is the one who is saying all this, who is the one who is in support of these barbaric people, is the one who is in support of their acts. They claim they are fighting for God. Tell me, is their God so weak that he can't fight for himself, that they think that they are supposed to fight for God? Because I don't really think the God they are fighting for is the God Almighty, the creator of heaven and earth. The heaven and earth in which we all know. I don't think that is the God they are fighting for at all. because I haven't heard in the Bible where God asks people to fight for him. God is not a weakling. God can take his cause. God can fight for himself. Say they are fighting for God. As in what way? Is their God a weakling that they feel that they can fight for their God? Because it's not our God, it's their God. Because our God is not a taker of lives. Well, who will investigate him? He is serving the interest of the presidency. And don't forget that all the security agencies have become the president's bulldogs to only intimidate opposing voice. That's why only people like him and Gumi can rant as much as they can, and the presidency never gives a negative response, but let someone like Kuka speak and the whole dog will bark. He is not other than a terrorist sympathizer. Exactly. This man is supposed to be investigated because his act is the act of a terrorist. How can he be supporting Taliban as of when they were terrorizing Afghan? That is something we all need to question him. Yoruba should banish this man to Fujian. He is waste of a man. Correct, he is sick. This man should be investigated thoroughly because he deserves an investigation. He is no other than a terror sympathizer. Wow. Don't be too sure. The fanatic man can still support them. Oh, I still don't believe that the man is a professor. What professor is he? He is a professor in LASU. His beliefs has nothing to do with being an academic. I know that it is difficult to become a professor in any Nigerian university. My reason is that I believe that education helps one's exposure. Education helps one's exposure. Education should have helped him to live above religion sentiments. He should have known that religion is your personal belief, but he doesn't have such a belief. All he knows advocates for Taliban, telling us how he supports them, not to be forcing people to believe what you believe. Education helps to tolerate others. If every religious are practicing this way, the world will be a battlefield and nobody will live in peace. The little days we have to live on this earth, let's live it in peace. Exactly. He is a professor of LASU. Then, as educated as he is, then why is he behaving like an illiterate? That is the question I need to ask this man. How can he openly support Taliban, supporting terrorist group, and he thinks Nigerians will forget about it so easily? We wouldn't. This question will definitely arise one day and people will question him. Well, you can go to the comment section and share your take on this article. Thanks for listening.